So Stalker 2 launched about 2 weeks ago, and it's no secret the game has some problems. No A-Life, numerous issues around crashing, broken quests, and visual bugs, just to name a few. That being said, the game is good, at least when it works, but for myself and many others it feels lacking in certain areas, with many things included in previous entries strangely omitted, while others would just be nice to see. Let's get right into, in no particular order, 10 things Stalker 2 needs to be a great game. Leave a like if you enjoy. Starting us off at number 1 is going to be the obvious basic bug fixes. I think I speak for anyone who doesn't have their head in the sand. This game is broken. Quests, visuals, NPC bugs, etc. all need some serious work. As of the writing of this script, there are still certain quests that can't be completed the way they should be. There's also a lot of issues with AI and, of course, visuals and crashes. I've got a lot of comments on my last video claiming that the console version of the game is borderline unplayable for some, so this needs to be fixed as soon as possible. Number 2, another obvious one, is the implementation of A-Life. This game was marketed to have it before GSC cheekily changed the Steam page just a few weeks ago, so where is it? Allegedly, it's not appearing in-game due to a bug, however I would speculate that they actually just didn't have time to finish it before rushing this game out. Really, it was advertised to us and it needs to be there. And on the note of A-Life and AI spawning, bloodsuckers. Right now, they are way too common, while previously more prevalent mutants like fleshes and boars are almost nowhere to be found. This really needs a fix, and quite frankly, it's unacceptable that the game launched without it. That's all I have to say about that, though. Moving on to number 3, getting more into the gameplay side of things, night vision needs to make a return. We can see NPCs with it, so why can't we have it? It was in the originals, in fact, more than just being in the OG games. There were several versions of it in those OG games, where the player could upgrade their gear to have higher tiers of night vision as the game progressed, and now for some reason, it's just not there. Apparently, references to nods are in the game files, but it seems like they got cut last minute because once again this game was rushed out. The same applies to binoculars, which at present, due to the lack of A-Life, would be useless, but if it does eventually get patched in, I think that both night vision and binoculars are a must for Stalker 2. For number 4, working in tandem with number 3, we need a day-night cycle overhaul. I said this in my original Stalker 2 review, but the day-night cycle sucks in this game. It is way too short, especially when compared to the length of the originals. To add to that, I find nighttime to be far too bright. I get that this was probably a last-minute decision due to the axing of night vision goggles as a feature, but roaming through spooky swamps and forests at 3 AM in the pitch black was a core tenet of what makes Stalker Stalker. Whether you're playing mods, the later 2 vanilla games, or even the original Shadow of Chernobyl to a lesser extent. I know nights were a bit brighter there, but still, Stalker 2's nighttime is just way too bright. We're playing what's supposed to be a horror game, not a well-lit full moon walking simulator. As much as I personally despise the Anomaly mod, one thing I have to say it does quite well is it allows for the player to choose how bright or dark nighttime is. It would also be nice if we got some options to pick how long the day-night cycle is as well. I really don't know what GSC was thinking here making it as short as it is. It just doesn't work for the atmosphere of the zone at all. One minute you're sitting in a sunny forest, the next wind is kicking up everywhere, then all of a sudden an emission is happening followed by a rainstorm, and all of that can happen in the span of about 20 or 30 minutes, and it throws off the pacing of the entire game. Next up at number 5, we need some form of faction identification. Due in part to graphical improvements, the factions in Stalker 2 are not nearly as vibrant and distinctive from a distance as they were in their earlier counterparts, making it very hard to tell who's who. It seems like most NPCs wear a mix of green and browns, and this combined with buggy AI that switch between being unable to see you from a foot away to being MLG quickscopers straight out of the Black Ops 2 days makes for a very frustrating experience. We used to have little name tags and colors come up in the original games. Why don't we have at least something like that in Stalker 2? I suppose in order to have that, you'd have to make sure that the crosshair consistently works as intended first, but that goes into what I said earlier about bug fixes. Moving on. So coming in at number 6, we have something that I oddly haven't seen a lot of people talking about, and that is peeking and leaning not being a thing for some reason, when holding items like grenades or detectors. In the original Stalker trilogy, it was quite common to peek around a corner, throw a grenade, and move back behind cover. That's literally impossible in Stalker 2, and the same goes when you're holding a bolt or detector. It's kind of infuriating, and I really don't know how such a basic feature was missed. Hopefully, this being so simple, it could be something that might be added in an update sometime down the road. Number 7 is the return of classic weapons. I can't help but notice that Stalker 2's weapon sandbox feels quite limited, particularly in the sidearm department. In the originals, we had weapons like the Walther, 1911, Fort Pistol, the Desert Eagle, but for some reason within Stalker 2, we get none of those. Also missing are things like the Street Sweeper shotgun, the old grenade launcher, the TRS, which, as I mentioned in a previous video, was kind of iconic to Stalker, as well as the Abacon AK variant. I get that there are quite a few new weapons, but to not have so many of the old ones, and I didn't even list them all, it just feels kind of lackluster, especially given the fact that we now have such a big open world with Stalker 2, but such a limited weapon sandbox. Maybe this one's a nitpick, but let me know your thoughts below. I can't be the only one that misses the F2000. Getting into the last couple here, we have number 8, which is a heavily requested feature, and that is mutant looting. I know it was really only a thing in the first of the originals, but even in those others where it wasn't, its lack of presence felt noticeable. Not to mention, a lot of popular mods have mutant looting to one extent or another. Right now, as several NPCs will tell you in-game, there is literally no point to killing any of the mutants. In fact, if you can avoid doing so, that's probably better to just run away from them, otherwise you'll just waste your precious ammo. I'm not saying we need a super in-depth looting system here, but just being able to take a dog's tail or a pseudo-giant's hand and sell it to some scientists would go a long way. Now, number 9 is another one that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about, and that is radiation. Sure, radiation is in the game, but it felt a lot more prevalent and threatening in the originals, whereas now it just seems super easy to cure radiation poisoning, and it's basically just used the same way as those annoying return to the battlefield screens from Halo. Go too far into the water? Well, you better limp back the other direction, because if you keep going, you'll just die for some reason. This is not at all how radiation worked in the original titles. It was a lot less deadly generally, and was more of a common but accumulative hazard rather than functioning as a soft kill barrier like it does in Stalker 2. Now the last one at number 10, which is probably going to be controversial for some reason, is the Ultimate Edition exclusive content. That needs to be added in for all players. As an owner of the Ultimate Edition myself, I have to say that there is no reason whatsoever for quest content and campfire dialogue of all things to be locked behind an edition bonus. That is absolutely absurd. This is something I've been critical of on this channel for years since it was first announced, and I'm just surprised I don't see more people talking about it, but that's that. Locking content for a game behind editions, especially in such a way as simple dialogue, that's just ridiculous. But that is my list of 10 things Stalker 2 needs to go from a good game when it works to a great game. What did you think of it? What are your thoughts? What would you like to see added or improved with Stalker 2? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy. I do all kinds of gaming content, but have been quite heavy on Stalker as of late because, well, Stalker 2 just came out and, you know, that's that. Big Stalker fan. But that's going to be it for me. Have a great day, and as always, stay safe. Get out of here, Stalker.